Hello, everybody. So, today was day 4, and a little bit of a slow day, considering the fact that it's Saturday and typically a very busy day with a lot of errands to run. But when you can't drive anywhere, it turns into a very, very slow day in a sense. Not much to be expected. However, I woke up very early in the morning, in fact, because my family, without me, had to go out and go to some event. So they left the house before 6, and I essentially couldn't go back to sleep. I had a decent night's sleep, but I went to bed yesterday with a lot of pains after the whole day, where I didn't think that things were going bad, but it all caught up to me at the end of the day yesterday. So I did take some Motrin to help me sleep, and eventually that knocked me out, so that was good. But I woke up really early, didn't get a lot of sleep, and then I couldn't fall back asleep after my family was gone. So I ended up just lying in bed watching a little bit of TV until eventually I did fall asleep. Um, and I managed to catch up on really, really good quality sleep that time. So when I woke up around 9:30 this morning, I felt like $1,000,000. It was just wonderful. I got up, took a shower. By the time I got downstairs to make myself some breakfast, it was actually lunch. So, but it was really, really good. It felt really good. I had a lot of energy, and but that energy didn't really get me much, because again, Saturday, there were no errands to run. There was nothing much to do. Maybe some phone calls, and not much of that either. If you had to make phone calls to any kind of businesses, not on a Saturday. So it was ended up being a relatively slow day. I wanted to touch up on one thing that I failed to mention earlier, and I remembered, and I wanted to add, and that is with regard to taking a shower. I'm sure that you're going to get told by the doctors exactly what to be careful of, what you can get wet, what you can't get wet, what level of exposure that your wounds can have to moisture in general. Um, for me, they basically said that um, all of my wounds, all my incisions, all of my everything that I have, it's not a problem to get wet. The crazy glue stuff that is still holding my sternum together is waterproof basically, but it doesn't like when you kind of pound it directly. So indirect water, where you kind of face your back to a shower head and let the water kind of flow over your shoulders onto your chest, is not a problem. And so that's what I've been doing. But the one thing that they also tell you is to constantly pay attention to whether you've got any oozing or any kind of bleeding or anything to that effect coming off of your wounds. And coming off of a shower is really a good time to do that. You're already undressed. You're already looking at yourself in the mirror, potentially examining this. But the one thing that helps quite a bit, especially if accidentally you scrubbed a little bit too hard with your hands and with your soap, and tore out a scab or whatever it might be, is using a light colored towel. What I found is that if I use a light colored towel, and I just gently tap, kind of press and hold across all of these areas of concern, and I look back at the towel, if there is any kind of bleeding or any kind of pus coming out or any kind of discoloration, you'd immediately see it on the towel, and you don't have to kind of look down at it angled or look at the mirror and have it reflect at you, and maybe that's the wrong angle or whatever that might be. So that really helps a lot. Fortunately for me, there was just a little bit of scabbing that tore off, which I ended up putting a little bit more of the antibiotic cream on, in parallel to my putting the antibiotic cream on the places where my drainage hoses were pulled out, as I mentioned earlier. Those are getting much, much better, and the antibiotic cream is doing a wonderful job. And there wasn't anything to worry about. So, and on the matter of showers, I personally have over the years developed various tried out all kinds of soaps and all kinds of other ways. And I feel like the method that I have today is actually very, very apt for my condition. I use a gentle body wash, fragrance free, with a very, very, very rudimentary washcloth. So I basically put the body wash on the washcloth, foam it up a bit, and then that takes care of everything I need to. I don't scrub anywhere near my wounds, but just kind of pressing it against the wounds gets all that good foam into the area and allows it to do its work and to cleanse the bacteria or anything else that might be there. So and rub it up just a little bit with your hand, such that it's carefully just such that it kind of gets wherever it needs to get. It's interesting. There are all kinds of other habits that I've developed over the years, and they all are culminating towards being really good for where I'm at now with the needs that my body has for recovering better. I'll talk a little bit about breathing habits in a minute, but it's almost like I haven't known this, but there was a better plan. Somebody had a plan for me along the way. My Father in heaven had a plan for me along the way, and things were just being put in place so that I'd be able to use them when I really needed them. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to mention is that as part of breathing exercises and as part of the getting your whole body to get back to learning how to breathe better, I received an incentive spirometer, I think it's called. And that's this thing here. Let me see if I can turn this around. I don't think I can. Never mind. All right, let me pull it up. This little doohickey. It is a breathing apparatus. Well, you're not breathing with it. It doesn't help you to breathe. But what it does is that it measures how much air volume do you suck in. Most of these things, when you look at them, you think about, okay, I'll blow into it. Nope. This one is actually when you're breathing in, the needle goes higher and it registers how much volume you've actually increased. And the instruction from the hospital, I received this already at the hospital and they gave it to me to take home. The instruction there was to do 10 deep breaths every hour, which I think is overly excessive. But anybody who's a perfectionist and anybody who likes to go the extra mile and has all the time on their hands is welcome to do exactly what was told. Other people may be receiving different instructions. I get to do this at least once a day, and every day I can see progress. There's a little arrow here on the side. Let me see if I can show you. There's a little arrow here on the side, which can be shifted up and down to mark kind of your target goal. And as you breathe in, when I first started, that little arrow, I could barely make it up to about 500 or maybe 350 cc, which is the volume that they milliliter, which is the volume that I could inhale per breath. And now I'm up to around 1300. And the intent is to get to a point where you can reach all the way to the top in a single breath. So I'm about a little over halfway there. I'm really excited because every day I can see progress. And every day I set my goal to basically go over the limit of yesterday. And once I achieve that, I set it up a little bit higher so that the next day I'm going to have a higher goal to go over. And that's very, very helpful. I can have relatively long conversations now with people. I don't get out of breath. I don't have to stop mid-sentences in most cases, unless they're very long sentences. And anybody who knows me knows that sometimes that does happen. But that's kind of where that's at. A couple more things I wanted to just to bring up. Again, with regard to sleep, one of the things that I found that I know about my body is that when I'm cold, my whole rib cage kind of condenses. I think it happens to most people, but again, I can't speak for anybody else. But that means that if I'm going to be cold, I'm going to be taking shallower breaths because all of my muscles in my chest are going to be spasming because of that coldness. Unfortunately, when you get into bed, at least for me, blanket's cold. I don't have a heated blanket. I don't have a heated bed sheet. And so the first thing that happens as I get into bed is that I'm basically just sitting there waiting for my body warmth to heat up the blankets. And my whole rib cage goes into this spasm. So I'm taking these very shallow, rapid breaths, and in my mind, I'm saying to myself, okay, this will pass. Just try to take a deeper breath, try to take a deeper breath, try to take a deeper breath. A lot of patience and a lot of just being in the right mindset and being prepared such that it's not a surprise. If you know what you're getting yourself into, even though it's difficult, it's a lot easier to overcome. It's, standard procedure. And from that perspective, I've been working on breathing for a very long time. And so that helps me get back into the mode. And speaking about breathing, one of the big things that I have as an advantage over other people here and there, not everybody, I'm sure that there are other people that practice diaphragm breathing or belly breathing, is that over the years I've practiced, I have perfected it, I don't do it naturally, but when I think about it, I can easily move into belly breathing, which means that instead of expanding your chest, you're expanding your belly, and you're letting your belly expansion pull the diaphragm down instead of just sideways. The advantage of that is that your ribs that are in pain, that are limited, that are potentially, contracted, or whatever that might be, are not needed to move as much, and yet you're still taking in quite a lot of air. So if that's not something that you're familiar with, maybe it's something to look into. It's definitely something to consider. It's something to think about as you're learning or relearning, or your body is relearning how to breathe. It is a much healthier type of breath. Babies do it naturally. Over the course of years, we lose it, and we don't, we basically go back to just chest breathing rather than belly breathing. That's really all I have for today. I ended up going for a walk with my son, much faster from a pace perspective. Instead of taking the half an hour, it only took about 20 minutes. I did have to stop about halfway through the uphill step of my walk, but it was just for about 30 seconds, just to kind of catch my breath, because as usual, as I mentioned before, we were chatting away and I was not using my air as efficiently as I could be, but it was much better. And when I got home, I wasn't as tired as I were before. So again, every day, progress, and this is great. I'm really excited for the next couple of weeks. I think that I'll be able to do a lot more in the very near future, and so I'm excited to see what next week brings. Anyway, have a good night. I will see you tomorrow, maybe. Take care.